I stand before you, the TWRC Island of Sodor champion. A championship I've been able to hold for over 100 days now. And as I look at my time in the community, I look at the championships I've won, becoming TWRC president, signing the Heralds, continuing to do crossovers and reviews while most of the community is stopped. And now, 15 years on YouTube. A big day, a big celebration in my channel's history. And I look back 6 years ago to the day when I did my first ever anniversary crossover review on Rusty for my 9th anniversary. That was the day that was set in motion, the plan for my 15th anniversary. Because since then I've done crossover reviews on Skarloey, on Rheneas, and on Peter Sam, all for my anniversary, and most recently I finished a review on Sir Handel. Now that I have the first 5 narrow gauge engines finished as reviews, it's time to do one last big finale for my anniversary. And of course I have to do it on the narrow gauge engine, Duke. Now to do a crossover on Duke, it's a lot of thought that goes into it. Who could I possibly do one final crossover with? I've done crossovers with more people than anybody else in this community. I've done more crossovers than anybody in this community. So there's a lot of people, a lot of options for me to look through. So I thought about it for a long time, and I knew for my plan to end how I see fit would be to do one final crossover with the person I did my first ever crossover with over 8 years ago, my good friend, Oliver Duck.
A crossover? With you? Of course, Percy number 6. I would love to. I've been meaning to do another crossover, well, since my Derek review. But something distracted me. Oh yeah, that's what it was. Well, anyways, let's do a crossover.
Perfect. But first things first, for the final time, cue the title card. Hello everyone, I'm your TWRC president and your TWRC Island of Sodor champion, Percy number 6.
I'm your Thomas Wooden Railway Community champion. I'm your Thomas Wooden Railway Community vice president. You know me. I'm Oliver Duck.
And this is our crossover review on Duke. Now for the backstory is Ted.
Duke is based off of Festiniog Railway Small English Class 040 ST+T locomotive. Unlike the real Small England class, Duke is built to a 2-foot 3-inch gauge, as opposed to being built to an 11-foot and a half-inch gauge. Duke's basis, Festiniog Railway No. 2 Prince, was originally named The Prince, and is presently named Prince. So maybe Duke was also originally called The Duke. Duke was manufactured by the same railway as its Festiniog basis, George England & Co. This is why the class was called the Little England class. But this raises some interesting questions because of the year Duke was built. By the time Duke was built, George England & Co. had already switched to making a different type of engine for the Festiniog Railway called the Large England class. Examples of this being the Welsh Pony and Little Giant. Now they had a bunch of changes, larger wheelbase, saddle tanks from the start. His brothers were made with these like small boxy tanks instead of saddle tanks, and they were retrofitted after. Maybe Duke had one of those to start. I don't know. It doesn't matter. He was probably too out of date by then. But the point being is that why was Duke built like this way past its time? Alright, let's get on to the actual railway history stuff. Duke was brought to Sodor to be the first engine on the Mid-Sodor Railway, a railway that went from Alsborough to Peel Goddard in the center of the island. rocky railways, steep terrains, and hard passages. Anyways, Duke was named after the Earl of Sodor, who the populace of Sodor called their Duke. This is because when Sodor was brought in to be part of England, it wasn't made a separate duchy, it was made as part of the Duchy of Lancaster. However, the top nobility in the duchy is called the Duke, where others are called Earls. The people of Sodor believed their noble leader, the Earl of Sodor, was of the class, of the dignity level, of the respect level required to be called Duke, and that their part of England was an independent duchy. Forget even the independent, but they were definitely at least a duchy if they were part of England. So that's why everyone called the Earl the Duke, and why Duke is called Duke. Duke worked on the Mid-Sodor Railway for many years, which was just became one of the many below-average railways on Sodor. There, he worked eventually with two new engines called Stuart and Falcon. These engines, when the railway closed, were eventually sent away to work on the Scarlowie Railway, but Duke was locked up in the shed and eventually got lost in a bunch of landslides, to only be discovered when a fat guy fell through on the roof, and they were able to save him and bring him to work back with Stuart and Falcon. Now, Peter Samuelson handle on the Scarlowie Railway. Fun fact, right now they are building a replica of Duke's Basis's brother, so number 3 Mountaineer from the Festiniog Railway, who was built with the original batch at the same time as Duke's Basis, number 2 the Prince. So they're building a replica of him right now, like under construction. The boiler's been tested, who knows when it's going to come out. But here's the thing, that original number 3 Mountaineer was scrapped the same year Duke came to Sodor. But wait, they haven't even said Duke was a grumpy old guy or grandpa or any of that.
Wait a minute, that's it? Ugh. Maybe it's just because I'm older now, but I seem to remember these Ted backstories being a little more interesting.
Yeah, I think we have a word for that.
Boring, disappointing, aggravating, not good.
Yes, not good. Man, I knew I should have had Let Me do the backstory. He's done better backstories than Ted for years now. I really need to get this crossover review back on track. You know what, Ted? I'll take it from here. Duke was first released in the Thomas Wooden Railway line in 1997. He would stay mostly the same during his run, with just small changes, like a plastic funnel in 1998, his name on his chassis in 2001, and the ledge removed in 2002. The original Duke's last year in the line was 2003.
Duke with coal car.
What?
Duke with coal car. That's the original version's official name.
And everyone knows it's just his tender.
And that's his official name. You would think someone who's done crossovers and reviews for over 8 years now would make sure to get the name as accurate as possible during their crossover review.
You didn't let me finish. Duke with coal car's last year in stores was 2003. From then, the only way you could get Duke with coal car was to purchase the Roundhouse set.
Oh, of course you say it now. You're welcome for saving this review. You know what, whatever. I'm out of here.
As you can see here, there are two styles of Duke, the original version from 1997 and the new style Duke from 2009.
Percy number 6, what's your thoughts on the 2009 Duke?
Well, Ted, I only have the original Duke.
I beg your pardon.
What?
No respectable reviewer ever reviews without having the major models on hand. I mean, it isn't wrong, but we just don't do it.
Respectable reviewer? Lemmy, what do you possibly know about being a respectable reviewer? The only time you've ever been a part of a review is when I make you.
And the only time you're ever going to have a custom, Percy, is when I make one for you.
I mean, Lemmy's got a point. I'm not sure I would even make you a custom.
Well, since someone didn't bring their 2009 Duke to the party, I guess you're going to have to take it from here, Ted. I know that you can definitely make that happen.
The 2009 Duke shook things up a lot. I mean, this happened all throughout the Wooden Railway from the classic Roy Wilson era all the way towards the mid-2000s, So we're talking about adding all sorts of detail that we didn't get on the last one. We're talking about domes, we're talking about sanding gear, we're talking about all sorts of valves and pistons we didn't have before. We're talking about sharpening up the paint lines. We got away from that 3D handrail onto a painted-on handrail. In general, this model looked tightened and cleaned up. Now, the detailing wasn't perfect. The side rods and the pistons are just a bit of a headache in this era in general for myself, but it's overall much sharper than what we had in the classic one. But again, this is all up to personal interpretation. I mean, if you're looking for that model that straggles the line between a real simplistic toy, but also something that truly captures the character's detail, now this is the era for you. But if you're looking for that simplistic, nice and easy, clean, childish type toy, now that last era, the era before this, is the one that's hammering towards that type of vibe. So, I mean, the 2009 cleaned it up, it looked good. The tender hardly changed, but overall, it was a really fresh model.
Ted, like what?
Will, why are you here?
Dude, what the f? What are we doing? What are we doing?
Why are you here?
What? Bro, I live down the street. I come here all the time. Let's not worry about that. Why is Duke in all places? Why is he on Sudbury?
I'm just filming a
Ted,
video.
no. He could not be further from this place you could have put him in the bottom of the Ballyhoo River and that would have made more sense than Sudbury. And God forbid on the f***ing roof of Sudbury. Ted, what are we, is this a J. Louvier crossover? Like what's happening? Where are the standards gone?
Ouch! Just get out of here! You're done! You're done!
Sorry.
Get out of here! Right now!
Hey, I'm taking this, James.
Just get out of
For
here!
my troubles. For
Go
my
play
troubles.
Switches, Roberto!
Duke might be my favorite narrow gauge character. I vividly remember watching sing-along in stories and absolutely loving Bulldog. The way Duke put everything aside to save Falcon was so admirable. The narrow gauge has always held a special place in my heart, but Duke's Railway in particular is something else. Maybe it's because we only had 4 episodes about it, and the only ones I watched as a kid were Bulldog and You Can't Win, as I never had the Rusty to the Rescue VHS or DVD. I always treasured these episodes, because Season 4 was the only season Duke had a speaking and starring role in the show. And that's why Duke might be my favorite narrow gauge character.
Favorite narrow gauge engine? Didn't you say that about Skarloey? And Peter Sam too?
Well, I mean, the narrow gauge railway holds a special place in my heart.
Your heart may say one thing, but the reality is that you can only have one favorite. So who's your favorite?
Alright, you got me. As much as I like Duke, Skarloey is my favorite narrow gauge railway engine. I'm sorry, Grandpuff. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm ready. Alright, it's time to give my final thoughts on Duke. And my final grade! It's outstanding how great of a job Wooden Railway does with both versions of Duke. Duke fits in perfectly with all the other styles of narrow gauge engines that were released at the time. I give both versions of Duke an 8 out of 10. A narrow gauge collection is truly not complete without at least one version of Duke in your collection.
To sum it up, I would give each of these models a 7 out of 10. You know, the differences between them are really differences from their eras that I think any individual would have a preference for one or the other based on what era they like better of the Wooden Railway line and what design preferences, whether it be simplicity and charm or detailing and a bit more use of plastic. I think that's up to individual preference. And I would advise anyone to pick the Duke that suits them the best. Fun fact, their tenders are the same for both.
How many times do I have to tell you, old man? It's a coal car, not a tender. There's no water in that thing.
Right. My sincerest apologies, Roberto, for calling this a tender.
And you know what? Let me get a look at that tender.
Fine, here it is.
Oh my god! What did you do to it? It looks worse than Johnny's camera quality.
You see, I bought this nib Duke for that reason. Since the tenders are the same, I could use it with either of my two Duke models.
Wait, is that a new in the box Duke? Open it.
I mean, Roberto, if that's what you really want, I'll open the Duke for you. Why does this have to be in a video? I'm doing it so much sloppier than I would otherwise.
Are you happy now, Roberto?
I guess. Later, President Percy number 6.
Goodbye, former President Eleanor Flying Scotsman.
Of course, person number 6. You take Roberto's side.
What do you mean, of course? I didn't hear you say anything when Roman, Lemmy, and Henry were all attacking me.
This all started when you took MPS aside when he was disrespecting my backstory.
Ted, I've about had it with you. I can tell you haven't done a single crossover since we did ours over 8 years ago.
Oh, but back when I was doing crossovers, the whole community was. As soon as I stopped, after a year or two, only you were left.
Ted, I will not stand to have my name dragged in the mud, especially on my 15th anniversary.
Come face me. Eye to eye. Hand to hand. Champion to another champion. Agreed.
This is what you call a set? How embarrassing.
Says the creative Michelangelo behind the infamous one-track main line.
Ted, you wish you could create a masterpiece like my Kirk Ronan.
Your Kirk Ronan. That was Lemmy's. The two of us slaved away for a week, side by side, building buildings, and that was built at the same time as that very building right there, Mr. Percy number 6.
Enough's enough, Ted. It's finally time we put our championships on the line and settle this once and for all.
Alright, fine, enough of the pleasantries. Throw it down and fight me!
Gladly, Ted. It's Percy number 6 time, baby!
Oliver Duck!
Oh, Percy number 6, we the ones!
You're going down! You've been a tyrant on the wiki for too long! I'm gonna take you down! You've insulted my honor as a YouTube creator! One, two, three.
Ted, what are you doing? You're a new undisputed champion.
I don't know. I just don't feel like one.
But why?
Percy number 6. You've been a good friend to me. One of the greatest. You might have been on YouTube for 15 years, but 11 of those years we've shared together. Speaking to the wee hours of the morning, working on every collaboration that one could dream of, channels, projects, and more. You've helped me when I've needed it, and in kind of given you clips. You know, I would trade every one of my accolades, every one of my championships. I would trade it all just to keep you as a friend.
ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce to you for the first time ever, your undisputed TWRC Island of Sodor champion, my friend, Oliver Duck. And as Percy number 6 makes the long walk home, we celebrate the passage of time of 15 years.